The following program deals with controversial subjects. The theories expressed are not the only possible interpretation. The viewer is invited to make a judgment based on all available information. Tonight on Sightings.
As a group, we were abducted about 60 times.
Frightening first-hand stories of mass abductions by extraterrestrials. What are their sinister motives?
They do need our genes to propagate their own species.
Then, dogs that possess amazing psychic abilities of predicting epileptic seizures. Their life-saving secrets tonight.
Welcome to Sightings. I'm Tim White. The number of people who report being abducted by aliens is growing at an alarming rate. According to a recent Roper poll, 1 in every 50 Americans claims a UFO abduction experience. Well, now those individuals are being joined by groups of people who claim they've been abducted together. These mass abductions are challenging skeptics who believe the abduction phenomenon is all a hoax.
In the course of 4 years, as a group, we were abducted about 60 times or so.
In my experience, I believe that mass abductions are occurring far more than people realize.
A whole room full of people are simultaneously taken and simultaneously in the craft put together with one another.
James LaFonte and a group of his close friends claim to be victims of a mass abduction. Their abduction histories all began in childhood.
Ever since I was a child, I used to wake up and I used to see white light and shadowy figures moving around my bed, and I would get scared.
When I was younger, I remember like an alien looking through the windows, being watched, a feeling of being watched all the time.
When I was a little kid, I guess I can call them as like the shadow people, because they used to come out of the shadows, and like the shadows would kind of come alive, and they'd be these little small guys.
In his mid-20s, LaFonte felt strangely compelled to seek out certain people and befriend them. As these home videos show, the group often went camping in upstate New York.
We would go up each weekend to upstate in Saugerties, and we were just going up for fun, but as it turns out, week by week, we were all being abducted as a group.
And looking back at it now, I realized that I had knew all these people from childhood abductions, and that I was supposed to get everybody together and go up to the trailer to be abducted.
Noted ufologist Bud Hopkins met with LaFonte and used hypnosis to help him recall abduction memories.
It's like I'm on a table. They have big eyes and the skin looks molded. I gotta get out of here.
James LaFonte contacted me in 1990 because of certain fragmented memories. He'd been with a group of friends, and they knew something had happened. There was a time lapse. And subsequently, they began to have partial recollections of this experience. And part of those recollections involved having been in a craft, unable to move, being controlled, and being placed, some of them with others, in some kind of sexual situation.
I first met James in '87, and a few friends of us, we all went upstate to the trailer. Just have a nice weekend and enjoy ourselves and have fun.
We had a typical hanging out, everybody getting close together, talking, doing a little music together. And then the next morning, everybody recalled something happened.
Going up weekly almost became an addiction. It was for enjoyment, but it was almost like we were being called back.
More members of the group agreed to participate in regression therapy. Under hypnosis, they recalled being part of a mass abduction.
One time in the trailer, it was around 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, and I remember seeing these bright lights almost in every window, and there's domes on top of the trailer. And everything was blowing, and you just become basically paralyzed. During the abduction, we would walk down this dark, dark road in a trance state. Mostly
everybody was like semi-conscious. I would see us, like all of us, walking down the road, you know, night garments. And sometimes the aliens would walk us there, and sometimes we would be walking on our own. And we'd be walking to the craft, which was always in the same spot in this pit area.
We would just walk into the ship. We would see the ship in the pit. James would be the last one to go inside the ship.
When the nightmarish memories persisted, LaFonte and others in his group sought help from clinical psychologist Dr. John Bowman.
Generally, when I work with people using their imagination, there's a personalized stamp that people put into their imagery because it's being generated from a part of themselves. These abductees and their reports do not have this kind of personalized stamp, and I think it makes it even more credible.
Once this group is on the ship, they do remember being abducted together. They do see each other physically being examined by their abductors.
James and Kurt saw me on the ship with them and a few other people that were upstate that weekend with us.
They would take us into the room and start doing some of the medical experiments. And sometimes there would be 2 or 3 of us in the same room.
If something was being worked on my genitals, I would see James across the room and the same thing being done to him. I do know his sperm was removed.
I've experienced certain things like that. I was with an alien that wasn't totally at will. It's hard to explain, you know, I mean, first, you know, it looks like a person, you know, and then it becomes an alien while the process is going on.
Rows and rows of naked people, aliens standing, motioning them here and there, directing them through some kind of processing.
When I was on the ship, I remember seeing James and Petra, and then I remember being with the other people from the group.
There's a very great interest on the part of the UFO occupants in human reproduction, sperm, ova, the DNA, but it has also included an interest in human sexuality itself.
I do know that they do need our genes to propagate their own species.
It's not uncommon to hear in mass abduction cases that individuals, members of the group, are forced to have sex amongst themselves or with the aliens.
Sometimes we would be abducted and there would be sexual situations that would pair off, you know, some of us within our group and some of us with other groups of people. It was just like a random thing. Each week maybe it would be a different person.
It could be other people's wives, other people's husbands, different friends that we were with, and just experiencing different sexual situations with them.
It's a recurring theme that we hear from a lot of abductees, especially in mass abduction situations. They're studying us, they're studying our sexuality, our emotions, and they're using us for some design goal as the center of this experiment.
This is across all cultural, socioeconomic levels. This is extraordinarily widespread. It is global in nature, and it is probably the most central hidden mental health issue in the country today.
In working with abductees, James's group, as well as other abductees, my experience is that these people have been traumatized by a very real and present experience in their lives. Their psychological profiles indicate that this was a real traumatic experience. It wasn't made up, it wasn't imagined, and that something actually did occur to traumatize these people.
I lost plenty of jobs, I lost friends, I lost family, I lost a number of things, and it got to the point where I would, you know, I was contemplating suicide in a sense because there was no escape.
I believe the abductions are exploitive of mankind and are not beneficial to these individuals. If their abductions were beneficial, they wouldn't be suffering as they are.
It's not something that we come out and tell you because we want to be on television. A lot of people think that, you know, we get more ridicule from it. It's a joke.
There is undoubtedly an extraordinary phenomenon at work here. It is irresponsible to dismiss it. An extraordinary phenomenon such as this demands an extraordinary investigation.
We're a good group. Our friendship is strong. I just hope that we'll understand what's going on at some time, and that we will understand why it's being done to us, and that in the long run that it's all for a good cause.
Joining us now is one of the foremost authorities on the alien abduction phenomenon, Temple University professor David Jacobs. Dr. Jacobs is the author of Secret Life, First-Hand Accounts of UFO Abductions, and has been a UFO researcher for 25 years. Dr. Jacobs, for years and years you have studied the abduction phenomenon. The idea of multiple abductions, is this something new?
No, multiple abductions have been around since the very beginning. In fact, the very first abduction that came to public attention, the Barney and Betty Hill case, was a multiple abduction. What we see every once in a while is large-scale abductions of 6, 7, 8 people, even more sometimes.
Is it true that people only recall their abduction experience, multiple or otherwise, under hypnosis, and therefore they might be influenced by their therapist.
Most of the accounts are recalled under hypnosis. However, a significant number of them are remembered just straight out without any aid of hypnosis at all. However, we found that handled carefully and with proper knowledge of the phenomenon, hypnosis is an important tool that we use to sort of release the memories that are there.
You are a respected university professor, and for most people this is just beyond the pale. Why are you involved in this?
Well, you're right, Tim. This is absolutely as far out as one can get in this society. Yet I feel that this is, even though that this is on the edges of credibility, that we must study this, that this is potentially extremely important and potentially impactful on all people, and therefore we can't ignore it.
Does it seem that some individuals are targeted for abduction and others are not? And is there any way to know if you are?
Well, people who have had abduction experiences generally have them from childhood on, all the way through old age, and we don't know how it stops. Most people who are abductees know that there's been a series of unusual experiences that have happened to them in their lifetime. They don't know what's happened to them necessarily, but they know something has been going on that other people don't have. And most of those kinds of people, we feel, have had abduction experiences, or at least many of those people have had abduction experiences.
Have you been abducted?
I have not been abducted. From what I know about the abduction phenomenon, I have no desire to be abducted.
Dr. Jacobs, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
And we will be back with more sightings in just a moment.
When we return, dogs that possess amazing psychic abilities of predicting epileptic seizures. What is the secret of their life-saving powers? Their story coming up next.
One of the last great frontiers left to explore is the human mind. With all of the advances in modern medicine, we still know surprisingly little about the potential of the brain. One way scientists are trying to learn more is by studying our pets. Animals appear to have certain psychic powers that no one can fully explain. Pets could be helping here, helping people with epilepsy. It's a condition characterized by frightening, uncontrollable seizures. In the Dark Ages, epilepsy was thought to be the work of the devil. Today, we've abandoned those outdated ideas that people with epilepsy are under satanic influence. But there are genuine mysteries associated with epilepsy, and medical experts are turning to dogs for some amazing new ways of understanding this misunderstood neurological condition. Angie Barnum knows the incredible supernatural power of a seizure-alert dog firsthand. For the last 10 years, Angie's dog Sheba has been warning her of potentially life-threatening seizures before they happen.
She paces and whines and jumps on me if I'm not paying attention. She's constant. She always knows. Angie's seizures were so unpredictable, she was confined to a wheelchair. In 1983, she sought out a program that was matching dogs with disabled owners. At first, Angie was attracted to a Labrador, but Sheba proved she could do more than just fetch.
Angie went into a seizure, and the yellow lab just ignored her, and Sheba keyed into it, completely ignored me. She went straight to Angie, and we stood around in fascination watching this dog fixated on this girl.
Angie adopted Sheba, and the two became inseparable. Angie discovered that Sheba's special gift wasn't just an isolated event.
I was out playing with my friends, and she started pacing and whining, and I thought she was just acting up, and I went home, and a few minutes later, I had a seizure. Come here, Sheebs!
Sheba was so accurate in predicting seizures in advance that Angie gained enough confidence to leave her wheelchair behind and compete in gymnastics with Sheba at her side.
She lets me know before I have a seizure so I can get down off the equipment. With her, I can know I'm going to have one, and I can get down before I hurt myself.
In 1987, Angie won a gold medal in the Special Olympics, and she gives a lot of the credit to Sheba's extraordinary ability. But Sheba is not unique, according to Rina Berner of the Epilepsy Institute.
We had people calling up all the time saying, I know you're going to think I'm nuts, because they didn't know who they were talking to, but this is what my dog does.
One of those reluctant callers was veterinarian Liz Rudy, who has had seizures for 10 years. Liz noticed that before her seizures, her dog Ribbon would stare and lick her hands.
I didn't really tell anybody or talk about it because it seemed too strange to be believable.
But Ribbon alerted consistently for 9 years. Before Ribbon died, Liz got a new puppy named Raisin.
I got her to see whether she could pick up this behavior from Ribbon. I didn't think it was something that was real likely, but I thought it would be interesting to see if one dog could do it.
Raisin turned out to have the same uncanny ability. Early on, she saved Liz from a potentially fatal situation, alerting her to an oncoming seizure while Liz was in the shower. While we were recording this story, Sightings crew members noticed Raisin was paying particular attention to Liz. Then it started. First, the intense stare. Then Ribbon tried to get Liz's attention. And finally, the barking started. Liz's seizures aren't violent. Instead, she seems to slip away from the world around her. Ribbon instinctively stays by her side, protecting her for the duration of the episode. Does Ribbon have a unique ability to detect seizures, or is Liz somehow giving off subtle clues about her condition?
When you have a phenomenon like this and you want to do a scientific investigation, the first thing to try to determine is whether, in fact, the phenomenon is bona fide or not.
Neurologist Dr. Douglas LeBar assists the Epilepsy Institute in their study of dogs like Ribbon. Liz is a participant in this research. Here, she's hooked up to a brainwave monitor that can detect the onset of a seizure. The Institute is also compiling statistics based on a survey sent out to pet owners who do have seizures. A substantial portion are reporting some type of alerting behavior. Some experts speculate that the dogs are detecting seizures through their acute sense of smell or by their acute awareness of certain body movements in their owners. But then why is it that only certain dogs seem to have the ability to detect seizures? Animal behaviorist Peter Borschel is studying the phenomenon.
If we can learn what the dogs are capable of doing, how they can pick up the pre-seizure signals, then we can have a way of screening dogs, trying to find out if there's a breed difference, picking dogs that are good at it versus those that aren't.
Come on, where's Jessie?
10-year-old Jessica Lindgren has up to 5 seizures each week. Her mother, Leslie, is working with their dog, Trina, training her to help Jessica during her seizures.
I think it's wonderfully important that the researchers and the neurologists can open their minds to something beyond just the medication, just the office visits, just the tests. I think it's great.
Jessica doesn't need science to explain why her dog is special.
I go like this, and then Trina licks my face like this. And then that's her way of saying, "It's okay, Jessica."
Is there a paranormal connection between some dogs and their owners with epilepsy? Medical doctors would say no, but they're still at a loss to explain why. It is a mystery that science can't explain, but researchers continue to study the phenomenon, working toward a more complete understanding of the strange and wonderful connection between people and animals. One of the tragedies experienced by people with epilepsy is isolation from a general public that fears the onset of a seizure. One of the greatest benefits of seizure alert dogs like Sheba and Raisin is their ability to bring their owners out into the community. They can hold jobs and enjoy life with a new confidence.
When we return, the terrorist attack on New York's World Trade Center was predicted by a Sightings astrologer. Will there be other attacks on U.S. cities? A special report next.
At the beginning of 1993, we asked a panel of experts in astrology and psychic phenomena to make their predictions for the coming year. One of our experts, astrologer Richard Nolly, has been remarkably accurate so far. He predicted the terrorist bombing at the World Trade Center in New York. Prediction became reality on February 26, 1993. In an interview taped in November 1992, Richard Nolly predicted a terrorist attack in February.
It's going to be more a terrorist kind of situation, but it's going to go beyond the terrorism that we've seen in the past. I think people who live in major cities in the United States, in Japan, and in Europe are going to be targets for this kind of activity, especially around approximately February 2 and also in August and early October of 1993.
The February prediction, although off by a few weeks, did have an eerie ring of truth. We went to Nolly's home in Phoenix to get his reaction.
The alignment of the planets Uranus and Neptune was the big cosmic clue to me. Also, given the current tensions in the Middle East, I'd expected that this would manifest as a terrorist attack directed against the United States.
There are currently 2 suspects in custody, but Nali believes they are just the tip of the iceberg.
There's no doubt in my mind that Baghdad was behind it, specifically Saddam Hussein. The planet Mars, which was rising in the east when the bomb went off at the Trade Center, was directly overhead Baghdad at that very instant. I'm sure we're in danger of more terrorist attacks. The same alignment that was in effect in February will be exact again in August and in October. So we haven't seen the last of it by any means. The target areas, as I see it, pretty much in descending order, would be New York was number 1 on my list from the start. It's already been hit. It may be hit again. Washington, D.C. would be 2nd. Los Angeles would be 3rd. Atlanta would be 4th. And Chicago would be the 5th. 1993 is going to be the year of terrorism in the United States, and after that it's going to fade away.
The prospect of further terrorist attacks is a frightening possibility predicted by Nali. What other disasters lie ahead? Sightings viewers have requested more information about what to expect later in the year. We are currently in the midst of a new investigation on modern-day prophets like Gordon Michael Scallion, who have disturbing visions of the future.
I can tell you that the Earth is going to open up in California, and I can tell you exactly where it will open up.
What is the basis for these dire predictions? We'll bring you the disturbing answers in an upcoming report. If you've experienced what you believe to be a ghost, or if you've had any type of paranormal encounter, our Sightings investigative team wants to know about it.
If you've had a paranormal experience or captured something unexplainable on film or videotape, call our Sightings hotline at 1-900-740-SIGHT. Each call 75 cents a minute. Average call lasts 2 minutes, and you must be 18 years or older.
Join us next time for new investigations into the unexplained. For Sightings, I'm Tim White.
Stay tuned for another episode of Sightings. Tomorrow, an armed suspect leads cops into a darkened crack house. What they find there will shock you. Experience a full hour of Cops, followed by an all-new Code 3 tomorrow.